The impossible candidate. The silver spires of the Galactic Defense Academy glinted in the light of 3 distant suns as Commander Zex Tyrell surveyed the incoming transport vessels. His 4 eyes blinked in an asynchronous pattern, a sign of irritation among the faction species. Today marked the arrival of this cycle's candidates for the Elite Survival Corps, the most prestigious division of the Galactic Alliance's defense forces. "The human vessel has entered orbit, Commander," announced Lieutenant Irida, her blue-scaled skin shifting colors with each word. "Shall we allow it to dock?" Commander Zex Tyrell's upper lip curled, revealing rows of blunted teeth. "We are obligated by treaty. Though I maintain this is a waste of Academy resources." The controversy had raged through the Galactic Council for months. Humans, a newly discovered species from a backwater solar system, had petitioned for inclusion in the Alliance. As a formality, they'd been granted the right to send 1 candidate to the Elite Survival Corps trials. No one expected the human to last more than a few days. "They call their planet Earth," continued Lieutenant Irida, reading from her datapad. "Classification: Deathworld 7.3. Extreme temperature variations, aggressive fauna, unpredictable weather patterns, and constant microbiological warfare." "Deathworlders," scoffed Zex Tyrell. "Their physiologies can withstand their hellish environments, but they lack the intellectual and psychic refinements necessary for true galactic citizenship. Still, let the treaty be fulfilled. Let them fail honorably." The human transport docked with a precision that surprised even the commander. The airlock cycled, and out stepped a figure that caused immediate whispers among the assembled Academy staff. The human stood shorter than most species present, perhaps 170 centimeters in height, with dark hair pulled back from a face that appeared distressingly exposed without fur, scales, or exoskeletal plates. "Lieutenant Maya Chen, Earth Defense Force," the human announced, offering a gesture with its upper limb that Zex Tyrell recognized from cultural briefings as a salute. Its voice was higher-pitched than he had expected. Zex Tyrell approached slowly, towering over the human. "I am Commander Zex Tyrell, Overseer of the Elite Survival Corps trials. You understand the purpose of your presence here?" "I do, Commander," replied Maya, meeting his gaze steadily with her strange, white and brown eyes. "I am here to complete the survival trials and qualify for the court, thereby establishing humanity's readiness for full Alliance membership." Several of the alien officers emitted sounds that translated roughly as chuckles or snorts of derision. "The trials have a 97% failure rate among candidates from established Alliance species," said Zex Tyrell. "No first contact species has ever passed. The course is designed to be completed over the standard galactic year -372 cycles. Most candidates who succeed require at least 350. Maya nodded. "I studied the parameters. I'm ready to begin immediately." "Eager to fail, human?" asked a gruff voice from the side. It belonged to General Cragg, a massive Tellurian with stone-like skin etched with battle runes. "The betting pool already has odds of 10,000 to 1 against you completing even the first phase." Maya's lips curved upward in what her species called a smile. "Then perhaps someone should place a bet in my favor. The payoff would be substantial." An uncomfortable silence fell over the assembly. The human showed no fear, only calm confidence that bordered on insolence. "Take her to processing," commanded Zex Tyrell finally. "The trials begin at first light tomorrow." The processing chamber resembled a medical laboratory crossed with an interrogation room. Maya stood patiently as various scanners passed over her body. 3 different species of technicians recorded data, occasionally exchanging surprised glances. "Is something wrong?" Maya asked after the 5th hushed conversation among the technicians. A Merlonian technician with translucent skin answered, "Your biology is unusual. You possess redundant systems, excessive blood volume, and your endocrine system is producing stress hormones at levels that would incapacitate most species." "That's just normal human physiology," Maya explained. "We evolved on a high-gravity planet with predators that could outrun us. Our bodies are designed to function under stress. And these? Asked another technician, pointing to data showing dense neural pathways in her brain. Pattern recognition and adaptive problem-solving centers, Maya said. Standard for humans. The door slid open, and Commander Zext Taril entered with a severe-looking female of his species. This is Academic Director Vex Loreth, he introduced. She will explain the trials. The director's multiple eyes narrowed as she assessed Maya. The Elite Survival Corps trials are divided into 7 phases, human. Each phase tests different aspects of survival, adaptation, and problem-solving under extreme conditions. The environments are artificially generated but present real dangers. Failure means death without intervention from our safety systems. Maya nodded. I understand the risks. The first phase begins tomorrow at dawn, continued the director. You will be provided with the standard equipment pack, containing multi-environmental clothing, basic tools, and emergency rations for 10 days. 10 days of supplies for a year-long course. Maya raised an eyebrow. The ability to procure sustenance is part of the trial, explained Zex Taril. Most candidates require several weeks to complete Phase 1 alone. Director Vex Loreth handed Maya a thin metallic band. This will monitor your vital signs and location. If you wish to withdraw from the trials, press the red sensor 3 times in succession. Maya slipped the band onto her wrist. I won't be using that feature. Word of the human candidate spread quickly through the academy. By evening meal, the great hall buzzed with speculation and mockery. Maya sat alone at a table, methodically consuming the nutrient paste provided, compatible with human biochemistry, but utterly bland. May I join you? Asked a musical voice. Maya looked up to see a willowy being with iridescent skin that shifted through colors like oil on water. She recognized the species as Lumidian, noted diplomats and scholars. Please, Maya gestured to the empty seat. I am Phil Sorix, Cultural Liaison Officer. The Lumidian introduced himself. I thought you might appreciate company that isn't overtly hostile. Thank you, Maya said sincerely. It's been a long day of being scanned, prodded, and dismissed. Fell's skin rippled with sympathetic blue patterns. The Alliance species have comfortable preconceptions about Deathworlders. They believe you are physically hardy, but intellectually limited. So I've gathered, Maya replied, taking another spoonful of the paste. I've studied your species since first contact, Fell continued. Your adaptability is remarkable. Most species evolve to fit specific environmental niches, but humans seem designed to conquer any environment. Maya smiled. We're stubborn that way. Fell leaned closer, lowering his voice. I should warn you. Commander Zex Taril has modified the trial parameters for you. He's accelerated the difficulty curve. He's cheating, Maya asked, unsurprised. Not technically. As overseer, he has discretion to adjust parameters based on candidate physiology. He's justifying it by citing your species' enhanced durability. Maya's eyes hardened. Then I'll just have to exceed expectations even further. Fell's skin flickered with concern. No one expects you to pass, Maya Chen. Even completing the first phase would be considered remarkable for a first contact species. I'm not here to meet their low expectations, Maya said firmly. Humanity needs this alliance. My people sent me because I'm the best we have. The betting pool has now reached ridiculous proportions, Fell mentioned. Over 2 million credits. General Cragg alone has wagered 50,000 against you. Maya's smile turned mischievous. Did anyone bet in my favor? Fell's skin flushed pink with embarrassment. I placed a small wager, 100 credits. Smart, Maya said, finishing her meal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to rest before tomorrow. As she left, she didn't notice Commander Zex Taril watching from the shadows. All 4 of his eyes narrowed in contemplation. Dawn broke with the eerie light of 3 rising suns. Maya stood at the entrance to the trial zone, a massive biodome that could simulate countless environments. Around her gathered various officials and a few curious Academy cadets, all maintaining a careful distance. Director Vexloreth approached with a small pack. Your equipment, as promised. The trial zone is currently configured for Phase 1, hostile terrain navigation. You must reach the extraction point, located 50 kilometers from your insertion point. The terrain will include unstable geological features, toxic flora, and extreme weather patterns. Maya accepted the pack, quickly inventorying its contents: a multi-tool, water purification tablets, emergency rations, a thermal blanket, and basic medical supplies. Most candidates require 3 to 4 weeks to complete Phase 1. Zex Tyrell added, looming behind the director. The record is 11 days. What's the fastest a candidate has completed all 7 phases? Maya asked. 327 cycles, answered the director. Just over 10 standard months. Maya nodded, securing the pack to her back. And if I complete all phases before the year is up? That would be unprecedented, Zex Tyrell said dismissively, but not against the rules. Maya pressed. No, admitted the director. The trials continue until completion or failure, regardless of time taken. Maya stretched her limbs, a series of deliberate movements that the observers recognized as a preparation ritual. Then let's begin. The massive doors to the trial zone slid open, revealing a harsh landscape of razor-sharp rock formations beneath a toxic-looking purple sky. Wind howled through the entrance, carrying particles that immediately caused several of the observing aliens to retreat, covering their breathing apparatuses. Without hesitation, Maya stepped forward into the hostile environment. The doors slid closed behind her with an ominous thud. How long do you give her, Commander? Asked General Cragg, his stony features set in a smug expression. The human's file indicates military training, Zex Tyrell replied thoughtfully. Perhaps she will survive the first day. No more. In the observation center, dozens of screens displayed different angles of Maya's progress. To everyone's surprise, she moved with remarkable speed across the treacherous terrain, her movements efficient and purposeful. Rather than following the obvious path through a canyon, she began scaling the steep rock face. What is she doing? Demanded Cragg. The safest route is clearly through the lowlands. Thelsorix, who had quietly joined the observation team, spoke up. She's seeking higher ground for navigation purposes. Classic human strategy. Accept initial difficulty for long-term advantage. Within hours, Maya had reached a vantage point that should have taken a full day to attain. From there, she studied the terrain, making notes on a small pad from her pack. The observers watched in growing astonishment as she plotted what appeared to be a direct route to the extraction point, cutting across the most dangerous sections of the simulated landscape. She's going to get herself killed, muttered an academy instructor. Those purple zones contain concentrated acid pools. But Maya didn't die. Instead, she fashioned protective coverings for her boots using the thermal blanket and proceeded to test various rock samples for their reaction to the acidic environment. Finding one type that showed resistance, she collected several pieces to use as stepping stones. By nightfall, when most candidates would have made camp to rest, Maya continued pushing forward under the light of artificial moons. The monitoring band showed elevated heart rate and stress hormones, but well within her species' tolerances. Remarkable stamina, noted Director Vexloreth, reviewing the data. But she cannot maintain this pace. The human body requires rest. Yet Maya continued through the night, stopping only for brief hydration and nutrition breaks. When toxic fog rolled across the landscape, a challenge program to force candidates to seek shelter, Maya fashioned a breathing apparatus from components of her multi-tool and pressed onward. By morning of the second day, the observation center had grown crowded. Academy instructors, military officials, and curious cadets packed the room, watching in disbelief as Maya approached the Phase 1 extraction point. Impossible, whispered Zex Tyrell as Maya activated the completion beacon just 26 hours after entering the trial zone. The standard doors slid open, and Maya Chen stepped out, covered in dust and minor abrasions, but otherwise unharmed. The assembled crowd fell silent. Phase 1 complete, she announced, looking directly at Commander Zex. I'm ready for Phase 2. This is unprecedented, stammered the director. Candidates typically rest for several days between phases. That won't be necessary, Maya replied. Time is valuable. I'd like to continue immediately. General Cragg pushed forward, his stone face cracked with anger. This is absurd. She must have cheated somehow. All monitoring systems function properly, reported a technician. She completed the course legitimately. Zexteril's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this development. Very well. Prepare the Phase 2 environment. The human wishes to continue. As Maya was escorted to a refreshment area, whispers erupted throughout the crowd. The impossible had happened, and from the determined look in the human's eyes, it was only the beginning. Deathworld diplomacy. News of Maya's unprecedented completion of Phase 1 spread through the Academy like wildfire. By the time she entered the preparation chamber for Phase 2, a much larger crowd had gathered in the observation center. Several high-ranking officials from the Galactic Alliance had arrived via emergency transport, drawn by reports of the impossible achievement. Maya sat calmly as technicians adjusted her monitoring band, seemingly oblivious to the commotion her performance had caused. Commander Zex entered with Director Vexloreth, both wearing expressions that translated across species as deeply troubled. Lieutenant Chen, began the commander stiffly. Phase 2 involves survival in extreme temperature environments with minimal protection. The parameters shift unpredictably between heat and cold. The record completion time is 22 days. Maya nodded, checking the seal on her water container. Understood. Have you reconfigured the difficulty as you did for Phase 1? Zexteril's upper eyes narrowed while his lower pair widened, a Vaxian expression of surprise at being caught in deception. The parameters have been adjusted to standard levels for this phase. Interesting, Maya remarked with a small smile. I look forward to the challenge. As Maya prepared, Thelsorex approached her privately. Your performance has caused quite a stir. The Galactic Council's senior observer has arrived personally. That was fast, Maya commented, securing her hair tightly. No one has ever completed Phase 1 in less than 11 days. Thel explained. The political implications are significant. If a Deathworlder can excel at these trials, then perhaps humans aren't just brutes good for fighting. Maya finished. We might actually have something valuable to contribute to the Alliance. Thel's skin flickered with concern. Be careful. Many powerful figures have waged their reputations against your success. General Cragg is demanding an investigation into your equipment and monitoring band. Let them investigate, Maya replied confidently. Everything I've done is by the rules as they were explained to me. A chime sounded, signaling the imminent start of Phase 2. Maya stood, rolling her shoulders. Any advice? She asked Thel. The Lumidian's skin rippled with hesitation. The temperature shifts are designed to be unpredictable, but they follow mathematical progressions, if you can discern the pattern. Thank you, Maya said sincerely. And Thel, you might want to increase your bet. The Phase 2 environment looked deceptively serene, a vast plain with scattered rock formations and sparse vegetation. Maya stepped through the entrance, immediately noting the extreme dry heat that assaulted her skin. The temperature reading on her monitor showed 54 degrees Celsius. Begin monitoring all physiological responses, ordered Council Senior Observer Krulvox, a mantis-like being with compound eyes that reflected the observation screens in hundreds of tiny images. I want to understand how this human is accomplishing these feats. In the trial zone, Maya wasted no time. Instead of seeking immediate shelter from the heat as most candidates did, she began collecting specific plants and rocks, examining each carefully before either discarding them or placing them in her pack. What is she doing? Asked Director Vexloreth, puzzled. Thelsorex, who had managed to secure a position in the observation center, spoke up. She's gathering resources while her body can still tolerate the heat. Humans evolved as persistence hunters on a savanna environment. They have remarkable heat regulation capabilities. 3 hours into the trial, the environment shifted dramatically. In less than 10 minutes, the temperature plummeted to -30 degrees Celsius. Wind picked up, driving ice crystals horizontally across the landscape. Most candidates required hours to adapt to such shifts. They would build shelter, light fires, and wait out the worst of the conditions. Maya did none of these things. Instead, she constructed a peculiar layered garment from the plants she had collected, creating insulation that allowed her to continue moving, albeit more slowly. She consulted her notes frequently, appearing to time the temperature shifts. "She's tracking the pattern," realized Commander Zexteril. "Impossible. The algorithms are too complex." "Not for a human mind specialized in pattern recognition," countered Thel. "Their brains evolved to track animal migration patterns, weather shifts, and seasonal changes. This is what they do." By the end of the first day, Maya had covered nearly a third of the required distance to the extraction point. She worked through the night again, resting only in brief increments when the temperature reached amenable levels. Her progress was methodical, almost mechanical in its efficiency. "The monitoring band shows elevated cognitive function," reported a medical technician. "She appears to be in a state humans call flow, hyper-focused problem-solving." By dawn of the second day, Maya had reached what most candidates considered the most challenging obstacle in Phase 2, a massive ravine with temperatures that fluctuated between the two extremes every few minutes. The standard approach required days of preparation and careful timing. Maya studied the ravine for less than an hour before beginning construction of a crude hang glider using components from her pack and materials gathered from the environment. "She's not going to attempt flight across the ravine," gasped an academy instructor. "The wind patterns are chaotic." Yet that was exactly what Maya did. Watching the wind patterns, she identified a recurring sequence and launched herself at precisely the right moment, catching a thermal current that carried her across the vast chasm. The observers watched in stunned silence as she landed roughly but safely on the other side. 41 hours into Phase 2, announced a technician. "She's on pace to break the record by a factor of 10. Senior observer Krelvox's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "This changes everything we understand about Deathworlders. Her cognitive capabilities clearly match or exceed our own." General Cragg slammed his stone fist against a console. "This is outrageous. She must be receiving outside assistance. All systems show no communications in or out of the trial zone," reported a security officer. "She is performing these feats entirely on her own." After just 53 hours, Maya reached the Phase 2 extraction point. The crowd in the observation center had grown so large that additional viewing screens had been set up in adjoining rooms. When Maya activated the completion beacon, a mixture of shocked gasps and impressed murmurs rippled through the assembly. 2 phases in less than 4 days, Zexteril stated flatly as Maya exited the trial zone. At this rate, she could complete all 7 phases in under a month, finished the director, her voice barely a whisper. Maya emerged looking more fatigued than after Phase 1 but still remarkably composed. She accepted a hydration pack and electrolyte supplements from a medical technician before addressing the commander. "I'll take a brief rest before Phase 3, she announced. 4 hours should be sufficient." While Maya rested in a recovery chamber, an emergency meeting of the Academy's senior staff convened alongside representatives from the Galactic Council. "This situation presents unprecedented diplomatic complexities," began Senior Observer Krelvox. "The humans' performance suggests we have severely underestimated their species." "Or this specimen is an outlier," countered General Cragg. "One exceptional individual does not prove the species worthy of full Alliance membership." Commander Zexteril displayed holographic projections of Maya's performance metrics. Her cognitive problem-solving exceeds 95% of all previous candidates. Her physical adaptability is in the top percentile. If she is representative of human potential, then humanity would be an exceptional addition to the Alliance. finished Thelsorix, who had been invited to provide cultural context. Their homeworld's challenges have forged them into highly adaptable problem solvers. The betting pool has been thrown into chaos, noted Director Vexloreth. Several Academy staff who placed early wagers on the human stand to make fortunes if she completes all phases. We should increase the difficulty for remaining phases, suggested General Cragg. Test her true limits. That would violate protocol, objected the director. Parameters cannot be adjusted mid-trial without candidate consent. The debate raged on, but one fact remained clear. Maya Chen was rewriting everyone's understanding of human capabilities. Phases 3 through 6 proceeded at a pace that transformed astonishment into a new normal. Maya conquered the aquatic survival challenge in 36 hours, the toxic atmosphere environment in 42, the zero-gravity obstacle course in just 29, and the psychic resistance chamber in a record-shattering 19 hours. By the time she prepared for the 7th and final phase, Maya had been at the Academy for just under 10 days. She had lost weight and acquired an assortment of minor injuries, but her determination never wavered. The crowd gathered for Phase 7 was unprecedented. High-ranking officials from every major Alliance species filled the observation center and adjoining halls. The human ambassador had arrived via emergency transport, accompanied by a small delegation who waited nervously for the final test to begin. Phase 7 is different, explained Director Vexloreth to the assembled dignitaries. It tests not just survival but adaptability to alien social structures. The candidate must navigate complex diplomatic scenarios with simulated alien cultures programmed to be hostile or incomprehensible to the candidate species. This will be the true test of the human, declared General Cragg, who had reluctantly begun to acknowledge Maya's physical capabilities, but remained doubtful of her diplomatic skill. Brute force and endurance won't help her here. Commander Zex Tyrell approached Maya in the preparation chamber. For once, his demeanor lacked the dismissive quality that had characterized their earlier interactions. Lieutenant Chen, he began formally, Phase 7 presents challenges unlike those you have faced thus far. You will encounter simulated beings whose thought patterns, value systems, and communication methods are designed to be maximally incompatible with human cognition. Maya nodded, reviewing the minimal briefing materials provided. Cultural adaptation under pressure. This is what humans do best, Commander. Zex Tyrell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of grudging respect. You have exceeded expectations in previous phases. However, no candidate has ever completed Phase 7 in less than 40 days. Then I'll set a new record, Maya replied simply. As she prepared to enter the final trial zone, Thelsorix approached with a small object in his hand, a polished stone with swirling patterns. A token from my world, he explained. We give these to those undertaking great journeys. Maya accepted it with a smile. Thank you, Thel, for believing in me from the start. The betting pool is now weighted heavily in your favor, Thel mentioned. My initial 100 credits could fund a small research facility if you complete this final phase. Maya pocketed the stone. Then I'd better not disappoint my investors. Phase 7 took place in a massive holographic environment capable of generating seemingly solid interactive simulations. Maya entered a bizarre landscape where the laws of physics appeared subtly wrong. Colors shifted unpredictably, sounds arrived before their sources, and gravity fluctuated in patterns that made movement disorienting. The first simulated species she encountered resembled floating crystalline structures that communicated through light patterns and temperature variations. Most candidates required days just to establish basic communication. Maya began by observing carefully, taking notes on pattern repetitions. Within hours, she had developed a rudimentary translation system using reflective materials from her pack to mimic their light communications. Remarkable, murmured senior observer Krulvox. She's approaching this as a mathematical problem rather than a linguistic one. By the end of the first day, Maya had successfully negotiated passage through the crystal being's territory and encountered the second simulated species, amorphous entities that perceived time non-linearly and communicated through gravitational distortions. This challenge proved more difficult. Maya struggled for nearly 2 days before developing a system using rhythmic movements that created predictable patterns the entities could interpret. Once communication was established, she quickly secured their cooperation. "She's adapting her thinking processes to match theirs," noted a xenopsychologist observing the trial. Most species try to force alien minds into their own cognitive frameworks. The human is doing the opposite, temporarily restructuring her thought patterns to match theirs. The final challenge involved a hive mind species that could not comprehend individual consciousness. Maya's approach stunned even her supporters. She deliberately induced a mild fever in herself, using the resulting altered consciousness state to experience fragmented perception that the hive mind could relate to. "This is beyond adaptation," whispered Director Vex Lorith. "She's temporarily rewiring her own neurology to achieve communication." On the morning of the 7th day in Phase 7, Maya reached the final extraction point. When she emerged from the trial zone, she was immediately surrounded by medical technicians concerned about her self-induced fever. "I'm fine," she insisted, though she accepted hydration and fever-reducing medication. "Is it over? Have I completed all phases?" Commander Zex Tyrell stepped forward, his posture formal, but his expression showing unmistakable respect. "Lieutenant Maya Chen of Earth, you have completed the Elite Survival Corps trials in a total time of 16 days, 7 hours, and 22 minutes. This is unprecedented in the history of the Galactic Alliance." A moment of stunned silence fell before the observation center erupted in a cacophony of exclamations, arguments, and excited discussions. The human ambassador rushed forward, barely containing tears of joy. "What does this mean for Earth's petition?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. Senior observer Krellbach's approach, mantis limbs moving in formal gestures of respect. "The Council will convene an emergency session. Your performance has complicated many long-held assumptions about Deathworld species." "She cheated somehow," General Cragg insisted, though his protests now seemed perfunctory rather than convicted. "No species could adapt so quickly, except one evolved on a planet that demanded constant adaptation," countered Thelsorix, his skin glowing with vibrant colors of celebration. "One that faced extinction-level events repeatedly and survived. One that turned adversity into advantage." 2 weeks later, Maya stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council as formal proceedings began for Earth's admission to the Alliance. She wore a dress uniform of the Earth Defense Force, now adorned with the insignia of the Elite Survival Corps, the first human to earn this distinction. Commander Zex Tyrell approached her before the ceremony began. "I owe you an apology, Lieutenant Chen. I allowed prejudice to influence my judgment." Maya nodded, accepting his words. "Many of us had misconceptions to overcome, Commander. That's why I'm here. The Elite Corps would be honored if you would consider accepting a position as training instructor," Zex Tyrell continued. "Your methods could benefit candidates of all species." "I'd be happy to," Maya replied. "Though I suspect you'll find many humans with similar capabilities. We're rather competitive as a species." Across the hall, Thelsorix approached with a group of excited Academy cadets. His skin glowed with the bright colors of success and wealth. "The Academy's biggest winner," Maya greeted him with a smile. "How does it feel to be rich?" "Temporary wealth is less valuable than lasting friendship," Thel responded. "Though I have allocated the winnings to establish a cultural exchange program between Earth and Lumidian Prime." The formal chimes signaled the beginning of the ceremony. As Maya took her place among the dignitaries, she reflected on how much had changed in just over 2 weeks. She had arrived as a curiosity, a representative of a species considered barely worthy of notice. Now she stood as living proof of humanity's potential. Senior observer Krellbach addressed the assembled representatives from across the galaxy. "Today marks a historic moment in Alliance history. The admission of Earth represents not just the addition of a new member world, but a reconsideration of our understanding of evolutionary paths and species potential. Maya caught the eye of the human ambassador, who nodded in silent acknowledgement of what they had achieved together. One person could open a door, but it would take all of humanity to step through it and prove their place among the stars. As the formal articles of admission were read, Maya felt the weight of the polished stone Theld had given her in her pocket. A token for those undertaking great journeys. Her journey, humanity's journey, was just beginning. The Galactic Alliance was about to discover what humans had known for millennia. That life on a Deathworld didn't just create survivors. It forged adapters, innovators, and explorers who viewed the impossible not as a barrier but as the next challenge to overcome. In completing a year's worth of trials in 16 days, Maya Chen hadn't just secured humanity's place in the stars. She had announced their arrival in a language the galaxy couldn't ignore.